Hey guys, I hope you're all having an awesome day. Let's jump right into it today. The first thing on your list is filling out your attendance form. Remember, if you are not filling out your attendance form on time, then I cannot mark you as present. The next thing on our list is Of Mice and Men, Chapter 4. So let's take a look at those questions real quick. Our first question says to describe Crooks's room. So that's going to be the setting for this chapter. It's going to take place basically in his room with Candy, George, Lenny, and then Curly's wife as well. So just kind of describe what is his room like. And I also want you to think a little bit at this time, why would he have his own room separate from the men? So he doesn't live in the bunkhouse with the rest of them. He lives in the barn by himself. Our next question says, what is Crooks's first reaction toward Lenny? So what does he think about Lenny being there? And how does he react to that? Our next question reads, describe how Crooks responds to Lenny's story of what he and George plan to do. So basically, I'm just looking for what does he think about that story. Our next one reads, describe how Lenny responds when Crooks suggests that George might not return from town. So how does Lenny feel about that? The idea that George might not come back. Our next one reads, several times in this section, Crooks thinks out loud to Lenny. Summarize his ideas. So we're going to see a couple times where Crooks starts thinking, and he's not really talking to Lenny. He's just talking to himself and trying to process some of his own thoughts. What are some of those thoughts? Our next one reads, explain Crooks's reaction. I forgot an S there. I'm just going to add it real quick. Crooks's reaction to Candy and Lenny discussing the farm they will have. So what does Crooks think about that? Think about the farm that they are planning. And then our next one, explain how the three men react when Curly's wife arrives. So Curly's wife has a specific reaction that she elicits from the men, and we've seen that a little bit throughout our novel this far, and we're going to see it again. What's that reaction that those men have? Our next one, explain how Curly's wife treats Crooks. What does she say she can do to him? So in your own words, what does she say that she will do to Crooks? She says something very specific, and I don't want to spoil too much here, so I'll just leave it at that it's a very specific thing. Our next one reads, Curly's wife asks about Curly's hand. What does she think Lenny did to it? So she's going to start prodding at Lenny to try and elicit a certain response from him. What does she say here about specifically Curly's hand that's meant to elicit a response from Lenny? Our next question reads, what does Crooks eventually decide the farm what does Crooks eventually decide to do with the farm? I'm sorry, guys. I made 2 typos today with Candy, George, and Lenny. So after hearing more about the farm, Crooks has some specific feelings towards it. What are those specific feelings, and what does he ask about when it comes to the farm? And our last one, what does this section of the novel tell you about how African Americans were treated in society during the Great Depression? So for this question, we have to remember Crooks is African American. So he's the one we're going to be looking at. And how are people treating Crooks in this case? And what does that tell us about how African American people were treated during the Great Depression? All right, and then our last thing on our list is a play posit. It's about 10 minutes long. I just want to make sure that we are clear on a specific scene in Crooks's room. And then I also kind of want to make sure we're thinking about it because it's really meant to help us set up what's going to happen next. One other thing I want to mention, if you notice on Google Classroom, all of our due dates are set for Monday at midnight. So the next few days are going to be a little bit weird. We were actually scheduled to have a half day tomorrow. So you'll notice a lot of your teachers aren't actually going to be assigning work. They're just going to be assigning attendance. So I figure overall, this will probably take you somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour to complete both Chapter 4 and the play posit. So this should be able to keep us occupied for that half day amount of time that we had originally scheduled when we were meeting person to person. Um, and then I figured, I'll give you guys a bit of a break and let you have until Monday at midnight to complete your. I'm sorry, my cat just jumped in a box. But to complete all of your assignments, especially since it's a long weekend this weekend. All right, guys, I will see you later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.